Yo, yo, yo. What to do with everybody out there? You see what I put in the description? Let's talk Fez, little dirt case. I be seeing other bloggers. Oh boy. I be seeing other bloggers talk about OTF little dirt case, and a lot of times the information that they talking about be BS for real, because it's a difference between the state and the feds. You know what I mean? Like the state, you know what I mean? You gonna go to court way more than the feds. And the feds, you're not going to court like that. You know what I mean? Like the way some of these dudes be trying to act like they getting information and updating it and saying dirt went to court or this happened, it be cap, bro. It don't. Now, yes, if you got a file lawyer, you gonna have a lawyer filing all type of different motions and all type of stuff. But just because they filing motions, that don't mean you going to court like that. So CD Nash and a lot of them, I'm not here to call them out, but I got caught up in a Fed situation before, and one thing about it, you don't be going to court like that when you catch a federal case. You know what I mean? Like I say, if you got a state case, you're gonna go to court way more. But a lot of these bloggers is capping about the information that they getting. You know what I mean? Yes, you capable to come across a discovery or certain motions that you might have heard filed. You know what I mean? But anybody who know, when you catch a Fed case, dog, I appreciate everybody who just tapped in to hit that like button. When you catch a Fed case, bro, you're not going to court all like that, dog. You know what I mean? Double O, what's up, family? Hit that like button while you in here. But when you catch a Fed case, bro, you're not going to court all like that. Like, it's not like the state. You know what I mean? The state, yeah, you're gonna go to court way more than the feds, dog. When you catch a Fed case, bro, man, it's I know people who were sitting 18 months, damn near a year before they even went to a court. You know what I mean? They went to their hearing to see about bond. The bond got rejected, and then they just been sitting reading their case, trying to see, learn the guidelines and the brackets and all that when you catch a Fed case. But these bloggers be lying, bro. When you catch a Fed case, bro, you're not going to court like that, bro. Like you're not like, you know what I mean? You're not going like that. Like you shouldn't have information updated. I appreciate whoever hit that like button. Y'all tap in. You're not going to court like that. You know what I mean? Like I say, you be sitting for so long with the feds that even if you come in ignorant to the law, you don't learn the guidelines. You don't learn, you know what I mean, what a 5K1 is. You know what I mean? You don't learn the game. You know what I mean? You able to ask your lawyer these certain questions. You know what I mean? Because so many people is so used to catching only state cases. You know what I mean? So when you out there thugging and loving it, you know what I mean? The average person ain't thinking about, if I get caught with this K, am I gonna go fed? You know what I mean? So, like I said in my last live, I know people who jumped off the hustling porch and they first transaction, a second, third transaction was the Fetty boys. You know what I mean? And you them the wrong people you want to be selling to undercover. You know what I mean? So the feds, change laws. They do all type of stuff that the state don't do. The state, you capable to find a loophole and beat the case. The feds, you gotta really either be locked in with some dudes in there, because I ain't gonna lie, you got some dudes who locked up in the feds who coded in lawyers because they know the law. You know what I mean? You know, I heard somebody say, man, it seemed like all them dudes from the 80s coming home because of people talk shit about Trump, but a lot of people came home. Listen, out of all the presidents, bro, that we ever had, bro, and I turned 42 years old November 9th, bro. Out of all the presidents we had, bro, and this for anybody, because we all different age brackets. But let's just be real, bro. Even for the people who know when Obama was in office, you ain't never had so many OGs and niggas come home so much, bro, since Trump been in office. You know why? Because he created the First Step Act. And that allowed, it opened up doors for a lot of people who really overserved their time and they should have been cut loose for real. We ain't talking about rapists and killers who just running up blowing tops off in broad daylight with no remorse. You know what I mean? But people talk crazy about him, but he created the First Step Act. Cody Ellis, yo, what it do, family? Hit that like button while you in here. But a lot of people came home because of Trump. A lot of them OGs y'all seeing on YouTube who be on Mav Hoffa and all these different podcasts and all that shit who just came, like, they home because of Trump, bro. And some really did do their time, but that First Step Act really helped people out a lot. My boy say, I got you. I appreciate you. Salute me, dog. Set your notification too. But I'm just here to say, listen, man. The FBI took my son mother to jail, bro. I'm talking about, if y'all ever seen that movie Enemy of the State, bro, with Will Smith, the feds can really do that, bro. And my dog said, I'll sub. I appreciate you, family. Wow, a cigar? Nah, home, this pack. We don't do no cigar on Trial TV. We don't do no, no, not no cigar. That bitch just roll like a cigar. You know what I mean? Hit that like button. But yeah, like, the FBI, bro, to get to me, bro, they took my son mother to jail, went into the system. Even better, right? Salute, right? My dog. They wanted me so bad, bro, that they took my son mother to jail, bro. Went in the system on some Enemy of the State like the movie, suspended her license. Me and her was getting harassed, and she was A1. What computer is that? It's a Dell computer. Yeah, it's a Dell. Took her to jail, booked her, gave her no bond, just to try to get me to go back to the spot that the snitch was saying that was supposed to have drugs in the spot. Look, my dog said, nice. I appreciate you, family. Salute. So they wasn't going to release my son's mother until I went back to the house to try to bust me and whatever the snitch told him that was at the house. You know what I mean? So when I finally went to the house, because they had her arrested with no bond, 7 months pregnant with my son, I finally went, and then that's when they did their thing and hit the spot and didn't find nothing. You know what I mean? All it was is, you know, trees and shit that I was smoking, but they don't care about shit like that. Like, they don't care about trees and if you got an ounce of weed laying on the table. They don't care about that. But when you catch a Fed case, bro, you're not going to court like that, bro. Like, all these bloggers who, when you hear dudes catch Fed case, they talking about they coming with new information and it's facts and all this. They cap, bro. You not. It's not like the state, bro. You're not going to court like that, fam. You know what I mean? You get your you get your case. You learn your case. You learn the guidelines. You know what I mean? Some people be on some accepting responsibility at a reasonable time to get your time cut. You know what I mean? If you ain't got no criminal history, you trying to learn what bracket and guideline you fall up under. You know what I mean? So when you hear these bloggers talk about, oh, such and such went to court today, oh, this, only thing he should be saying for real is such and such lawyer filed a motion. You know what I mean? Which is, if you got money, you want your lawyer to file all kind of motions, you know what I mean, to try to get you up out of there, or, you know, or whatever. But when you catch a state case, bro, you damn near rather catch a state case, because one thing about the state, family, you somewhat got an opportunity unless you just dead on camera and you damn near cheese. Like, soon as the camera look at you, you smiling. You know what I mean? Kodak moment, it's over. But the feds, bro, you ain't going to court like that, bro. You sitting, and that's a part of their bail package. What's your favorite singer or rapper? My favorite rapper, I ain't gonna count right now. My favorite rapper is Benny the Butcher with Griselda. If you don't know who that is, do your homework. I just found out. Sister's pregnant, so excited to be a dad. I don't know, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, Benny the Butcher Griselda. I ain't gonna lie, he #1 right now. But yeah, man, the feds, man, like they make up laws as they go to. Like you think you got one situation beat, they come with something else. You know what I mean? So if you hear them saying something like that, that sounds believable. Like I done been through something like, you know what I mean? Like you just really don't want no smoke with them. You know what I mean? Like when they ran up in my spot, they didn't find nothing. The snitch who told them, you know what I mean? He ain't delivered. So when they came to the crib tearing everything off the walls and all of that, they already had my son mother in jail, who was pregnant with my son at the time. Who was better, Jalen Hurts or Justin Jefferson? I ain't gonna cap, bro. Like I'm a Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts cool. I mean, I ain't really no fan. And truth be told, I like Jalen Hurts. You need to read the snitch paperwork. Pretty much, for real, when you two things that's similar. When you catch a state case or a fed case is that, because I like what he said you need to read the snitch paperwork. For real, when you read the paperwork, even when they try to redact the names, like black out the names, you can still tell who it is because you know who you serving. You know what I mean? Like if you read your paperwork and they say John Doe, you met him at the mall parking lot, such and such day, you go on, you already know who the snitch is. You know what I mean? Because you know who you meet at certain different places. Oh, I only meet John Doe at the mall. I meet Jane Doe at BP gas station. So, look, my dog said facts. Right. Yeah, you gonna know, like, that's one thing that the state and feds do got in the same as far as on, like, when you get that paperwork, that motion of discovery and all that shit, anybody who done been out there, you know what I mean? You ain't have to be deep in the game, but you sold a little weed. You know who you meet at Wendy's Wednesdays who come by a 7 or a half, and you able to play that shit back in your mind, be like, okay, see, I know who got me. I know who got me. A lot of times when people be saying, oh, they in the county, and they be like, paperwork, but the name redacted is blacked out, and people still saying, nah, but I know who the snitch is. You know what I mean? They be knowing, bro, because they play back all their transactions they did. Stephanie, hey, what's up, family? How you doing? They play back all their transactions. You know what I mean? All their transactions. Any real hustler, you get money, yeah, you out there bunking in the streets and all of that, but you able to play back who all you served, and I don't care how much motion you got. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't play back all the people who you serve and figure out who the rat is, my nigga, you in the wrong game, dog. You know what I mean? Stephanie said, you right. I don't write, but you know what I mean? Like, but I jot stuff down, like, you know what I mean, topics and ideas, you know what I mean? But it's good to write though. Just like good, it's good to read. I appreciate Cody. I appreciate you, family. But yeah, one thing about the state, bro, you know what I mean? You damn near smile going to court. Okay, yeah, you facing a max 25 or whatever it is, but this I done been in the county with dudes, bro. Because where I'm at, we be locked up with Fed inmates too, even if you stay. I done been locked up, bro, and we all watching the TV in the day room, bro, and a Fed homie who I know finna go to court. And one thing that everybody do inside certain pods and blocks, like if you finna go to court, like certain people be like, hey, man, good luck, especially like if people know you finna get sentenced, they be like, good luck. You know what I mean? And I remember this, I don't know if he was Cuban or Puerto Rican. He was like, finna go, they called it for court, so he's shaking everybody's hand up, they dapping him up. He like, they have feds in Plymouth County. Man, they got feds everywhere, worldwide, bro. They everywhere. The IRS is the feds, bro. You know what I mean? They everywhere. But this dude, I remember he was going to court, Puerto Rican dude or a Cuban dude. Even before he was going to court, he was like, they offering me 30. I'm gonna just take the 30. I'm not about to play with these people. And at the time, I'm 19. You hearing that shit? You like, I ain't gonna lie about you. I'm facing 35. You know what I mean? But me facing 35 and somebody copping to 30 years is two completely different feelings. But he said, but most are snitches. In fact, most definitely they are. In fact, most are snitches, dog. You is right. I ain't gonna lie, that snitching shit is like big. So it's like now you really got to move. Some people say, well, I'm a trap third party. You know what I mean? Okay, I hear that. But look, my people say, what? My people say 30 to life, right? The feds, let me get back to what I was saying about I know people who sat in the county on a Fed case up to 5 years, dog. The feds is in their bond package, bro. They don't really like to give bonds because if you think about it, they want you to crack. You know what I mean? They know the average person who get jammed up want a bond. You know what I mean? Like, that's why Dirt lawyer keep filing. You know what I mean? And he got $1 billion lawyer. You know what I mean? So, but they know if you sit, you liable to crack. And that's why their conviction rate is high because, you know, a lot of people ain't really ready for that Fed type shit. You know what I mean? You in transit, you not able to keep up with your commissary money. You know what I mean? You gotta wait till it land. It's like all type of stuff. They'll burn you out mentally, way worse than what a state would do to you. You know what I mean? So you a real ass dude. You know what you're talking about. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I'm just talking off of what I know and then my experience alone. You see all these tats on me? All these tats on me, they didn't come from the streets, man. You know what I mean? I didn't get none of these on the streets, and trust me, they'll tell you I got them everywhere. They didn't come from the streets. You know what I mean? They came from me when I was a different person many moons ago. You know what I mean? I'm not that same person. You know what I mean? I'm on here vibing with y'all, connecting with any tribe member that's on here. Make sure y'all set your notification, and to get to know me, go to my YouTube. I'm always got updates on my posts. Check out my posts. Oh yeah, and I gotta say congratulations because we just got 500 more new subscribers. So I want to say salute, and I appreciate the love. But if I'm talking, it's either most likely it's experience. You know what I mean? I may be telling the story in third party. You know what I mean? But if you can read between the lines, like how I know you can, then you can catch on and read between the lines, and you know what I mean, and peep what's going on. But like I said, yeah, he was like, I'm just gonna take the 30. I ain't even finna play with these people. And I'm 19 at the time. This 2003. Could you imagine at the time, 2003, I'm 19. I'm 42 now. I just turned 42 November 9th. I'm 19 and you hear a dude who's already 30 years old saying he gonna take the 30 because he don't want to play with these people. I couldn't even fathom that shit, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I looked at him like he was crazy. And then he went to court. He took that 30, came back. And when you young, you don't understand certain things. You know what I mean? Like, because when he came back from court after taking the 30, you know, you want to see how a person gonna be. And he felt like a relief. Like, he was happy. Like, I'm glad I know what I got type vibe. I could put this behind me and move forward and go do and really get into my bit as far as doing my time. And in my mind, I'm looking at it, I'm like, ain't no way in hell I could just like moosah that and just be like, but I guess you got to, you know what I mean? You ain't got no choice. When snitches tell them all the time, we get karma. Karma is just around anyway. It don't matter if a person is snitch or not, you know what I mean? If you just not a cut right individual, meaning like you never think about prospering and moving forward in a positivity way, then yes, karma is always gonna loom over you like a cloud or a halo. You know what I mean? Because karma is related to the devil. And we both know it damn near go hand in hand. Ain't nothing good coming out of it. You know what I mean? So that's why when we deal with people, and every time we link up with them, whether it's a coworker or somebody on the streets, and every time they talk, they always, it's never nothing positive, then they are part of that karma club, meaning, you know, that devil evil shit. Like, you always complain about something. I did 15 straight, so I feel you. I ain't gonna cap. In Ohio, boy, anybody who was doing 15 years, they call them Bay Mandelas, boy. You know what I mean? You did a 15. And see, I'm really a Florida nigga. I'm from Florida. They do 85% down there. In Ohio, you get 15. You doing 15. They don't care if you get a GED early. They don't care if you high five Kent State and kiss the professor. You doing it day for day, bro. They ain't cut no slack, bro. And then they'll try to trick you and tell you something about a traditional release. Oh, you doing, then you get over your mandatory time, file for judicial release. Man, you wasting your time, man. You know what I mean? For real. Like, so 15, you know, I ain't gonna lie, man. I commend you for that, dog, to come out and still have your sanity, man, because I did 4 one time and came out, and when a nigga handed me a phone, you know what I mean? I got out, I had everybody's number wrote down on a pad type shit. You know what I mean? I did from 2003 to 2007. You know what I mean? And for you to do 15 and you know what I mean? I got respect for you, dog. You stay blessed and focused out there. Because I know a lot of people who did 15 and did another 15 on top of that and came home and didn't learn from it because you trying to come out here and play catch up because you was in there and you seen all the wave, what was going on. Everybody got Cubans, designer. Yeah, you already know it, family. Make sure you set your notification. But you got dudes in there who been gone 15, like my fam, and then on another 15 on top of that. Everybody got phones now. See, my era was pictures, and then you had phones, but it wasn't no FaceTiming. You just chatting. But you got dudes who these phones setting them up for failures because you locked up. You seeing designer, you watching Love and Hip Hop, you seeing what's going on. Everybody Phantom Rolls Royce, Cubans, Rolexes, you know what I mean? Audemars and all of that. So now, how many followers do you have? We just gained like 500. I'm about to touch 2,000. I'm scratching 2,000 right now. And you helping me with that by subbing, so I appreciate you. But yeah, you got dudes who locked up in there. The phones ain't gonna do nothing but taint your mind. You know what I mean? Like, and I ain't gonna lie, I get so many friend requests from dudes from prison. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see somebody say free me soon or something like that on Facebook and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm here to motivate everybody in life. You know what I mean? So if you could watch my shit, you know what I mean, from the can, and you know what I mean, you find inspiration. You know what I mean? Hey, that's what's up. But feds, like I say, man, these bloggers be capping, man. You're not going to court like that. You're not, you know what I mean? Yes, if you got $1 billion lawyer like Durk, yeah, your lawyer gonna file every appeal there is that he can think of for no reason. He just in his sleep just writing appeals, you know what I mean? But you ain't going to court like that, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you sitting for a hot minute. It's in their bond package, bro. They prefer you to sit, bro, than really bond out for real because you capable to crack faster, bro. You know what I mean? That's why they got a high 98% conviction rate. You know what I mean? Sometimes it be because they got evidence, but a lot of times it be because they got a rat. And some people say, well, how do you avoid the rat now in the game? And the old me would say something crazy, but the new me would say, if you want to avoid a rat, just get a job. Put yourself on somebody's clock. Act your age. Live your age. Like, whatever age you is, it's time to live your age. Not saying you got to live like a 70-year-old nigga. I'm just saying, like, if you 26, be 26. Live 26. Be a responsible 26 on somebody's clock, punching in 8 to 10 hours. You know what I mean? Like, if you done years and you've been locked up before, you should know you really ain't, you missed a whole lot. And jail sets you back. Prison sets you back. You know what I mean? Even if you say you're not gonna play catch up when you get out, you are playing catch up because you behind. When you left the streets, they might have had a camera that can go in on a polo button, and the camera could watch. You think it's a button, it's a camera. Now they got fake birds and shit flying all past. You think this a blue peacock or some shit, and it's the laws. You know what I mean? So, you know, I be feeling like if you're not a millionaire and you're a normal civilian, a normal tax bracket, when you get out, give yourself a chance, man. Get a job. It's sad, but people like you and me, when you do that much time, you don't know how to live in the real world. Yeah, but see, have you been locked up before? Yeah, a long time ago I have. I ain't been locked up in 20 years, but yeah, a long time ago I've been locked up before. Okay, so let's get to what my man here just said, my people. When you do that much time, you don't know how to live in the real world. A lot of people struggle with adapting. Some move faster than others. But see, that's why if you get locked up and you've done time like that, hopefully one of the smartest things you did before you got locked up was didn't burn all your bridges as far as with your family and certain people. You're going to have people within 15 years, 10 years, fall off and on. You know what I mean? Anybody who know about time know you going to go through this person answering the phone 1 minute and then they not answering the phone. Because you know why? That's a lot of time. But I'm going to tell you something that I figured out. When you've done time, you never fully understand life until you've been free as just much as the time you've done while you was locked up. Like if you did 7 years and then now you've been free 14 years, you're going to fully comprehend and understand life and what life is really all about for you to really prosper and let that part of your life fully go. You know what I mean? To the point that the person you is now, people meet, they wouldn't even assume that you even done time before because they can't picture that you even done some crazy shit like what you done 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So the longer you stay free, the more peaceful your mind to get mentally, and you'll understand and take accountability for a lot of self-inflicted situations that we as humans put ourselves in. You know what I mean? A lot of us still blaming child abuse and certain things that happened as a child in our life. And some of us my age, 42 years old, 38, 27, 24, 19, or whatever. You know what I mean? If we're not saying heal in one day and get over any trauma you went through, we're just saying once you become a certain age, you are doing things that's self-inflicted. You know what I mean? When in reality, what you should be doing is living your age. If you're 19, you know you got to be responsible and be on somebody's clock in order to make it. Nobody say you can't enjoy life, but if you think in longevity, then you need to be on somebody's clock. Being productive. You know what I mean? Don't do what me and several other people did. Like, it took me till I was 30 years old to learn the work world. And when I say learn the working world, meaning like not just getting mad at the first thing a person who's your boss say and you walk away from because you know you got racks at the crib or you know what you could generate if you just put that call in to Hector. You know what I mean? My dog say being a free man is a wonderful thing and we will get to change and do better. Yeah, that's the thing is, but see, that comes with accountability and spiritual and mental growth. You know what I mean? In order for you to even move forward on anything with life, you have to accept accountability and say, even though I came from good parents or I didn't come from good parents, it was my fault that I led to the situation and got myself into. A lot of people, if you think about it, a lot of us be around people who always it seem like they just got bad luck all the time. You know why? Because they don't take accountability for their own actions. They still playing the blame game and pointing their finger. You know what I mean? And sometimes it takes for you to go through some yourself in order to really figure out that you no longer can point the finger and keep blaming people. You have to, God will put you in a situation where you by yourself and you have to finally face reality. You know what I mean? No handymans, no do boys, nobody going to the store for you. Now you gotta boss up and go do it all on your own. You know what I mean? So the thing is this, whether it's fair, state, GBI, KB, whatever it is, you wanna just do the right thing from the jump. You know what I mean? It's no such thing as I was trying to feed my family, so I did this and I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? That right there is what you call an easy cop out right there. You know what I mean? Anytime you being taken away from the family, you say they're starving already and you free already. What's gonna happen if you go and do something and crash out? They definitely gonna be starving. You know what I mean? It's like we gotta do everything vice versa. You know what I mean? I even did my brother caught a 3-year state bid and got lost in the system when he had to kill someone. It was either kill or be killed. It's like that. That's why I say it. And I don't witness that. I done been locked up with dudes, right? And it's like unwritten laws in prison that's unspoken. You know what I mean? Like if a nigga finna go home and one a nigga in his circle get into something, you gonna have other real niggas who be like, bruh, leave Curtis alone. He finna go home in 24 hours. Don't get that man in nothing. Like anybody who know the real politics of jail know. It's certain politics like you finna go home. Like I done seen dudes who finna go home the next day and jump out their body, get into something, get their eyeball knocked out. Now you going home with a Pirate of the Caribbean patch over your eye. You know what I mean? Like, or dudes die the day before they go home. You know what I mean? Like, just because we got kinfolks and homies and relatives and all of that out there who, oh man, go do that little punk time. You'll see people on the net who ain't never done time telling somebody, oh man, you go do that little punk ass 18 months. Dog, a lot people ain't guaranteed to make it back in 18 months, bro. Time don't work like that, whether it's county or whatever. You're not guaranteed to make it back in 6 months. Like people just really think that it's palm trees in a beach chair. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what can happen. You got people who have heart attacks, strokes. You know what I mean? Like you not going to the best doctor, bro. They don't got rainbow type doctors in there, miracle workers. You know what I mean? Nah, like prison is really one of the worst places you want to get sick at. You know how many people truly die in prison? You know what I mean? Just alone off staph infection, you know what I mean? Because you dealing with dirty, sweaty other people in there and you touching the same workout equipment and you got gloves on and all, but they don't wash their ass, so they filthy. And then they sweat get on you, and next thing you know, you just sitting back on the machine doing arms and all that and chest and all that, and next thing you know, you got a lump coming out the back of your neck, and if you ain't never been through staph before, you gonna freak out. You gonna, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then they tell you got staph and it hit. I done seen people have it on their face, bro. Like sometimes it hit people worse than others. You know what I mean? So, yeah, laugh my ass off. So true, my dude. Yeah, for sure. I'm only speaking facts. I appreciate whoever hit that like button. Y'all jumping in here, hit that like button. Remember, go to YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. You know what I mean? Set your notifications. Tap in with your boy. You know what I mean? Yeah, read the description. You see what we talking about. We saying, let's talk. You know what I mean? Let's talk feds, little durk case. You know what I mean? And we were just talking about how when you catch a fed case, bro, you don't be going to court like that. These bloggers that be on YouTube, they be capping. You not going to court like that, bro. The feds, it's a part of their bond package, bro. They don't even like to give you bond, bro, because they want you to crack like a sidewalk, dog, for real. You know what I mean? They do. They feel like the longer you sit, the more better chance you got telling. You know what I mean? And you got some dudes who never been through that before, so they ain't never been through not really knowing when exactly you gonna go to court. 7, 8 months went by, you ain't even seen a judge yet or nothing. You know what I mean? So, and they know that because they play psychological games. You know what I mean? This is the government we talking about. You know what I mean? They way more seasoned than us. You know what I mean? Way more seasoned than us. You know what I mean? We think we seasoned because we go to Barnes and Nobles and read books and Google information and all that. Okay, yeah, we may know some things, but they've been playing games since playing games. You know what I mean? So whatever you think you got checked on your box, the feds got that check double. You know what I mean? The only good thing about certain situations is, but sometimes you can have a $1 billion lawyer like what Dirk got, and you can still lose a case. I know people like, for instance, BMF, Southwest T. He had a public defender. He still got 30 years, but guess what? He ended up coming home before Meach. Meach had the $1 billion lawyer, and he still got 30 years. So sometimes I know people who either come home off appeal because of not what a lawyer filed, they filed. A lot of people get themselves out of situations when they come to the feds. Yeah, Big Meech, he had to pay. Look, Big Meech, if you watch it, he had a paid lawyer. His brother Southwest T had a public defender. Sometimes it ain't always about having a paid lawyer for real, whether it's state or feds. You know what I mean? Sometimes that don't mean that. I remember one time I called a case, I had two lawyers. And anybody who know his name from my era know, like Carolyn Kahowski and her husband. You know what I mean? They in Cleveland right now, you know what I mean? So, but sometimes a lawyer, you having paid lawyers don't always mean you got the case spanked. Sometimes if you catch a case and say Idaho somewhere, but your lawyer's from Dallas, Texas, a lot of times they're gonna give your lawyer a hard time because they don't respect out-of-state lawyers. You know what I mean? Like they don't like somebody feeling like he from Texas and you coming to Idaho and you trying to argue back and forth with the prosecutor and the judge and tell them what's allowed and what ain't allowed. Like, so sometimes a lot of people don't even use their permanent real lawyer. You got to use a lawyer from that state because a lot of judges and certain people, they ain't respecting that out of town lawyer, and then that out of town lawyer might not have a relationship with them judges and prosecutors like how if you would get a lawyer from that state who might go to lunch with Ted and Albert. You know what I mean? Say Southwest T, nobody. I mean, I feel like when people say, or even when I heard Southwest T say, because I just seen him coming out with his own little documentary, and he was saying how nobody knew who he was, bruh. Your name was already in 20 DEA cases. I'm gonna see. I don't. I know the real case. You know what I mean? That's my era. I got locked up '03, and I was going to Detroit every now and then, and that was my era '03 when I got locked up. Before I got locked up, Cheddar Boys and I don't know if people familiar with Detroit, but like the Cheddar Boys, it was just a lot. Like round when I got locked up in '03, it just, as far as Detroit, it just was a lot of work like in Detroit. Like you had dudes just with blocks sitting in the crib, police running up in the spot just finding because it just was so much work. And then if you know street lords and cheddar boys, if you just, you know what I mean? And we're not saying BMF was supplying, we just hypothetically saying, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it just was a lot of money around that time. I was locked up with Detroit dudes. They had pictures and all of that, you know what I mean? So, um, but T, his name was already in 20 to 30 DA cases, you know what I mean? Even the feds did an interview and said that they really just thought that they was mid-level, middle guys playing in a high-level game. You know what I mean? Not realizing that these boys really deployed. They can sell you 50, sell me 100, sell him 200, 300. Anytime you can wholesale something, and trust me, I know. I've been in, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Many years I've been, you know what I mean? You always put your situation, you always, when you can wholesale shit, always put yourself in a situation where you could do what Meech did when they say he left in '89 and went to Atlanta. When you a wholesaler, you could pick up and pretty much go anywhere. It's just all about wherever you go, you scouting the right people. You know what I mean? And if you a weight man, you know that takes time. It don't happen overnight. But you know, long as you got that weight, it's no pressure. Because while you can wholesale, you ain't worried about breaking everything down. We know breaking it down, you know, yeah, okay, you still eating, but you know, so T was on wiretaps, giving directions. calling plays, got popped with 5 million in jury, tried to lie and put it on the producer. It's a lot of stuff that T had going on that Meech didn't have going on. Meech was like kind of like what Birdman is to Cash Money. I'm just the face I'm in the streets. But that don't mean the police don't know about Slim just because Slim ain't in the streets like that. You know what I mean? Terry was hot. You know what I mean? He going to his homies' funerals who dying, the helicopters burning gas flying and watching him. You got the chick who on the show who he all in love with, who he treat damn near better than his baby mama. She, Tony, whatever her name is, she want to be. He had a lot going on, and Meech had a lot going on. But one thing about Meech, they don't got Meech on no phone. They don't got Meech giving orders. They got a snitch named Old Dog saying Meech is his supplier. So when you catch a Fed case, sometimes it ain't always about them having you on wire or audio. Sometimes they just need that one person. Yeah, and Blue Da Vinci. Yeah, Blue Da Vinci was a snitch too. I ain't gonna lie, whoever they know what they talking about. Yeah, we know Blue took a 5K1. He admitted it on Vlad. You know what I mean? Like, how you on an interview on Vlad TV and you admit that you took a 5K1? You said a downward departure, and then he gonna say, meaning you took an accountability for your crimes at a reasonable time. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I mean? And that's why, I'm gonna tell you something. And that's why people don't mess with him like that no more. You know what I mean? Because he didn't have to. He didn't see when you do what Blue did on Vlad. It's so true. Yep. When you say you took a 5K1 downward departure, and you told about that limo that BMF had with all that money in it, you don't need to see paperwork. You already just said you took a 5K1, and I'm gonna be honest with you. And anybody who done Fed time or just somewhat know the law, if you kind of hear somebody catch 5 years in the Fed, it's that alone fishy as hell alone, especially when you heard how big BMF was. Like, I really know their case. I know they was paying Mega Million winners. I know the whole rundown of the TV show is going to give you the PG-13 version of BMF. If you really was from that era, you know what them boys was really doing and what was really, really going on. Like, bigger than what the TV presenting. You know what I mean? But Blue, he just had the deck stacked against him. You wasn't a good rapper. You was a hater. You hated on Jeezy. You just was a hater in general. And anytime you hear somebody, like I say, catch 5 years, anybody, they'll say that's suspicious. Unless it's your first time, you got no criminal history, and maybe you got caught with a blick, like a 9 or a 4-5, but the feds wanted you so bad that they couldn't get you for drugs, so they just gave you a 5-piece or whatever, some shit like that. I don't know, you know what I mean? But when you were part of a case like BMF, and then you heard how Blue try to, quote unquote, had small hands and put his hands, you know what I mean, get involved here and there. You catching 5, bro. That shit was suspicious, bro. Like, even a person who don't know much about law, bro, like 5 years, bro, that just don't sound right, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So we alone, you know what I mean? F the paperwork, we already right then and there knew, like, you know what I mean? That don't sound right, bro. You feel me? Like, you know what I mean? You was doing a lot of hot stuff. You was the one all on the, go watch. If you don't believe me and all y'all who tapped in, go watch Raw Report put in Raw Report DVD on your YouTube and watch how hot Blue was on there. You know what? Nowadays, I feel you on that. You say, I don't even know how he's still alive. But I'm going to tell you something. Death ain't always the best way. Sometimes a person living is the best way to suffer. Look at Blue Da Vinci now, and then go back and look at the old Blue Da Vinci that me and you know. His weight ain't the same. His face sucked in like he do Molly and Coke mixed together. He don't got nowhere near the same flamboyantness and swagger he had. Even when you grow with age and you get older and you get more mature, certain characteristic traits you don't lose. Your flamboyantness, your way of just, your bravo with people, you know what I mean? Your lingo, like my parents always tell me, and people who truly know me, they be like, Rio, you know, you brighten up, you light up shit, you know what I mean? Like your character, you know what I mean? Like, so he don't have the same traits he had back then that made us believable he was doing these things. Now, when you look at him as if he has the HIV or something, like you discussed with him, like you wouldn't even drink out of a cup out of his house. You know what I mean? You would bring your own cup. You know what I mean? But you know how you avoid guys like Blue Da Vinci's and the Doc Marshalls and all them who was a part of that. Just get a job, man, or find you something you passionate about and roll with it. You know what I mean? Find you a passion. If you the best colorer, go to Walmart and get you about 50 to 100 coloring books, color them and sell them. Find you something that you like to do in your off time. Like I remember growing up, I would see even now, like even when like if I'm jogging or I'm riding a scooter, I'm just getting a little air. The weather been crazy in Ohio lately, but I'm getting a little arrow. Even if you're driving by, sometimes you will see a older dude in his garage just working on his old school. He ain't even really work. He just making up shit to just mess with it because that's what he like to do in his off time. He passionate about it. You know what I mean? And it don't take you to be a certain age to find you something to be passionate about something. You know what I mean? Like find you something and really get into it because it can save your life. Because certain times when you say I'm gonna go out this night or I'm gonna step out or I'm gonna go do this, once you really invest into that passion, that might be the time you say I'm gonna pause, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna be on pause this night. I'm not gonna do this or whoop de whoop de whoop. You know what I mean? Like me, I got Tribe Culture merch. I got Thoink merch, which is this shirt right here. It's produced by me, my 420 brand. I got several different things going. I got my own uh pre-workout supplement, testosterone booster. You know what I mean? 60 capsules, take 2 a day. You see results in 7 days. You know what I mean? Real motion. You know, working on a cannabis situation. You know, so you got to really find something that you don't mind doing that you don't really consider bored and roll with it. You know what I mean? And that's what I had to finally learn. I'm not a gamer. You know what I mean? Now, will I play a game? Yes. You know what I mean? But I had to really find something and be passionate about it and roll with it. You know what I mean? That way I don't be in a situation like what my boy Durk is. And we ain't saying nothing bad about it. We just, just hypothetically saying, you know what I mean? A lot of us is not in bad situations because either the house got raided when we was at work or we just not accessible no more like how we used to be. So this job you got or this positive thing you doing in your off time is keeping you out the mix. You know what I mean? See, me, I'm the type of nigga, I go everywhere, any state, anywhere by myself. I don't got no hidden ego or no complex. I like not being known. I prefer actually to not be known. I blend right in. A lot of people fears they make up excuses and say they don't want to go nowhere because of their kids or their mama and all this shit. They really cap for real. They know if they go somewhere, the same person that they is now, how you could just be rude and you claim you so blunt and you can be disrespectful. You go any other state, nobody's tolerating that. They're gonna make your head roll like that hay in the Wild Wild West movies. You know that Wild Wild West shows where you see the hay before they finna do the shootout, and you see a hay roll by. That's gonna be the top of your head rolling like that because you know the same stuff that you get away with in your hometown, it ain't gonna fly nowhere else. And then you know if you go somewhere else, you gonna make sure you hold your tongue very well because you don't you just gonna you gonna act how you supposed to act. You know what I mean? A lot of people we need to be encouraging them to go and move away because some of them need to get some act right in them because they've been where they at for so long that they caught up in the drama. And then the most capping shit ever is that, and it's finna be a whole my New Year's resolution is drama free and all this shit. Cap, 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 cap. You know what I mean? A lot of people enjoy drama. It's a small town. You know what I mean? Even if it ain't a small town, people just bask in it. You know why? Because they feel like they known. You scared to go somewhere when you ain't known because you scared somebody gonna lay belt to you. See me, I cheese and smile off going places where nobody don't know me. You know what I mean? I love it like that. You know what I mean? Some people really scared to really live like that because it's that fear of nobody not knowing them. You know what I mean? Because you know the way you are now, you can't be like that nowhere else because you know why? Somebody gonna hand belt to you real fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? So y'all already know, man. Feds is no joke. I've been in a situation with them before. You know what I mean? And to avoid Fed, state, or any type of situation, just get a job, man. You know what I mean? Or invest in yourself and roll with it. You know what I mean? If you can pay rent at other people's house and do all type of other stuff and invest and help people get their cars fixed, help somebody with a light bill, help somebody buy a lawnmower, help somebody rent, stay renting a barbershop, why not go ahead and just cut all that out and just say go in full throttle with yourself? That way you can live longer and you can be here longer and reap the benefits. You know what I mean? Of your hard work you put in towards yourself. You know what I mean? So, uh, that's why I got no friends. I don't want them, and I'm a nice dude no matter what I did when I was young. So, right, find a little hobby and hold your family tight. You smart cat. You should counsel kids. I did. I did. I actually did, dog. Like, what's crazy is I can't explain who I really am, but I'm gonna tell you what you said. I done it all. I don't even raise little niggas. They older now. You know what I mean? I done did all of that, bro. But I'm gonna tell you something that I learned. I done what you said, and I done been the guy when your mans come home from jail, you bless them with a pack, meaning that pack racks whatever they need. You do all that, bro, and 10 years from now, you and all them people, y'all don't even talk no more, dog. You know what I mean? I learned my lesson for a lot of things. And what you mentioned, that was one of them, bro. Like I used to have a little homie up under me. You know what I mean? But as people get older, they become ungrateful. And then they end up being cool with the people who didn't even mess with them when you cuffed them and all that. Now you seeing them paying tribute to them. Oh, my best friend, my day one, my this and that. I remember when nobody didn't even F with you, bro, for real. Like, you was a loser. Like, nobody even acknowledged you, females, niggas. You was a lame. You know what I mean? I built that confidence in you, boy. You hang around me. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about life situations. I done got straps pulled on me because of people who I'm cuffing and trying to raise. You know what I mean? So I learned my lesson from that. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's just better to just focus on yourself. You know what I mean? Because you send money, you give them a pack when they get out of jail, you look out for them, you giving them clothes. They find it, you giving these little niggas clothes and they finding money in it. They got the finding money in the clothes that don't even tell you till 2-3 years go by and they think it's a joke and laugh about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get rewarded for having honor, giving honor to people no more. You know what I mean? And that comes with when I told y'all, when you stay free long enough, you really figure life out for what it is, bro. All of that, you trying to act like you an employee of the month as far as friendship, when you got a picture on the wall of friendship of the month, it's going to burn you out. It ain't going to get you nowhere. You know what I mean? I'm going to end it like this. The average, hey, how you doing, ain't hey, how you doing no more. It really means tell me your business and tell me everything. You know what I mean? So you got to be the one to decipher what's good energy and what's not good energy. You know what I mean? And like I say, Try TV, go to my YouTube posts. Hit the like button, man. Go to each one of them pictures on there, man. Support me, man. You know what I mean? I got merch on there for all walks. You know what I mean? Males and females. You know what I mean? Set your notifications. You know what I mean? Just try TV, like I say. Pre-workout motivation. Testosterone booster, 2 caps a day. Results in 7 days. You know what I mean? Tap in with your boy Tribe. You know what I mean? Uh, I posted my website on my YouTube post. You know what I mean? And Instagram, G Rio Benji at Instagram. You know what I mean? Check me out. Hop in the DM. Like I say, I do ship. You know what I mean? You will get your merch. We don't play games over here. Y'all already know mental health very important. You know what I mean? Like I say, for those who suffering and feel like they're in a dark place, I always recommend some Sade, Kiss of Life, some mellow music. You know what I mean? And if you got you a Bob Marley, roll you a Marley. But y'all already know it's love. Like I say, the 420 merch. You know what I mean? Yeah, 420 Club members merch. You know what I mean? Along with Tribe. You know what I mean? Branding is what we do over here. You know what I mean? Y'all hold it down, stay breast. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Tribe.